You've been told that working hard, showing up every day, and climbing the corporate ladder is the way to financial security. That the paycheck you receive is a reward for your effort, a measure of your progress, and the path to freedom. But here's the hard truth. The salary you rely on is not freedom. It's a trap. Every hour you spend at your job is time that cannot be recovered. Your labor is exchanged linearly for money, 1 hour for 1 unit of pay. That system may feel secure, but it comes with invisible ceilings. No matter how much you work, how many promotions you earn, or how many accolades you receive, your income is bound by someone else's rules. Pay raises are incremental, bonuses are discretionary, and even job security is conditional. You are trading the most precious resource you have, time, for limited reward, and the system ensures it never scales exponentially. The trap is deeper than just limited income. It shapes your mindset, your choices, and your identity. When all your financial stability depends on a salary, your decisions are constrained. You work hours dictated by someone else, prioritize tasks that may not align with your long-term growth, and defer the pursuit of independent opportunities. Comfort, routine, and fear of uncertainty reinforce this structure, keeping you tethered to a system that rewards conformity more than creativity. Consider the hidden cost: opportunity lost. But every hour in the office is an hour not spent building assets, starting ventures, or developing skills that generate independent value. While your salary grows slowly, wealth outside the paycheck system compounds exponentially. Those who understand this quietly leverage time and resources to create scalable systems, businesses, investments, intellectual property that operate independently of the clock. Meanwhile, employees remain trapped, mistaking stability for progress. But the most dangerous aspect of this trap is invisibility. It feels normal. Society teaches us to chase promotions, respect tenure, and measure success in salary figures. You don't see the ceiling until you hit it, and by then, years of potential wealth and freedom have been consumed by the linear grind. Awareness is the first escape. Recognizing the trap is the first step toward freedom. In this audiobook, you will uncover why salary-based work inherently limits your potential, by how this system subtly enforces dependence, and what the strategies you can apply to reclaim control. You'll learn how to transform the time and money you already have into leverage, how to build scalable assets while maintaining stability, and how to free yourself from the linear constraints of a paycheck. By the end, you will understand that true financial freedom doesn't come from working harder in a system designed to limit you. It comes from working strategically to build independence. The clock is ticking, and every minute you remain unaware is a minute trapped in someone else's framework. It's time to see the salary for what it is, a trap. And more importantly, it's time to learn how to break free. Chapter 1: Why salary limits your freedom. The first time most people realize the limitations of a salary, it is already ingrained in their daily life. From the moment they begin working, their world is defined by schedules, pay periods, and organizational hierarchies. On the surface, a salary appears to offer stability, predictability, and a sense of control. But beneath that facade lies a structure that inherently restricts freedom, growth, and opportunity. A salary operates linearly. 1 hour of work earns a fixed amount of money. No matter how skilled, committed, or efficient you are, your earnings remain tied to this linear formula. Promotions may increase your pay slightly, but these increments are always bounded by corporate budgets, with industry standards and management discretion. Unlike assets or businesses, your income cannot scale exponentially through effort alone. The more hours you dedicate, the higher the immediate return, but only within a finite structure. This is the first invisible limitation. Your financial growth is capped by someone else's rules. Beyond the arithmetic of income, a salary imposes structural constraints on your choices. Where you live, what you buy, when and how you plan your life often align with your paycheck. Housing decisions are based on affordability, not a strategic investment. Education for personal growth may be postponed because of financial priorities. Leisure time, travel, and creative pursuits are scheduled around work. Even when income appears sufficient, the underlying dependence on a regular paycheck subtly dictates lifestyle decisions, curbing flexibility. Psychology plays a significant role in reinforcing these limitations. People associate employment with identity and self-worth. Job titles, company prestige, and monthly paychecks become markers of success. This social reinforcement creates a mental trap. Stepping away from predictable income feels risky, even if independent opportunities exist. Dependence becomes normalized, and the mind equates stability with freedom, while overlooking the invisible ceilings imposed by the linear income model. The time for money exchange also carries a hidden cost. Every hour spent working is an hour unavailable for building scalable systems, developing independent skills, or creating assets that produce passive income. While you focus on meeting deadlines, completing tasks, and pleasing management, opportunities to generate wealth outside the paycheck system are delayed or ignored. This opportunity cost compounds over years, leaving many with impressive job tenure but limited financial independence. Moreover, the salary system encourages comfort within constraint. Regular paychecks create predictability, and human psychology favors a certainty over potential but uncertain gains. Risk aversion is natural. Venturing into business, investments, or alternative income streams seems daunting compared to the stability of a predictable paycheck. This creates a feedback loop where reliance on linear income reinforces both action and inaction, but people work harder within the system while unconsciously narrowing their broader financial potential. Another critical limitation is lifestyle inflation. As income rises, spending habits often expand in tandem. New cars, homes, vacations, and conveniences consume increased earnings, leaving little surplus for strategic investments or asset building. Salary dependence reinforces this cycle because expenses are tied to what is earned, creating implicit pressure to maintain income. The linear model of salary rewards effort but simultaneously constrains real wealth accumulation, making independence elusive. Structural dependence also impacts long-term security. Industries evolve, technologies disrupt, and organizations restructure. Employees whose financial life is tethered to a single income stream are exposed to risk. Job loss, stagnation, or unexpected changes can severely impact stability. The linear paycheck is deceptively secure until a disruption occurs, revealing the fragility inherent in a system built on someone else's decisions. The path to overcoming these constraints begins with awareness. Recognizing that a salary has limits and acknowledging its structural and psychological impact is the first step. With this clarity, individuals can begin transforming dependence into strategic leverage. Awareness allows one to approach employment not as an ultimate destination, but as a tool, a stable base from which to build independent, scalable opportunities. Finally, understanding salary as a trap reframes how time, money, and effort are valued. Every paycheck is not just compensation, it is a resource that can be used strategically. By consciously allocating time and income toward skill building, asset creation, and systems that generate independent returns, the individual begins reducing reliance on linear structures. Employment remains useful, but it becomes a component of a broader strategy rather than the entirety of financial existence. In summary, salary provides predictability, structure, and short-term security, but it imposes ceilings on income, constrains choices, limits opportunity, and subtly reinforces dependence. The more awareness and strategic thinking one applies, the more it can be used as leverage rather than a limitation. Understanding these truths is the first step toward escaping the invisible trap and building a life of a scalable growth, freedom, and independence. Chapter 2. The invisible ceilings of employment. Most employees enter the workforce with optimism, believing hard work will be rewarded with exponential growth. Early promotions, performance bonuses, and recognition reinforce this belief. Yet over time, many realize that no matter how capable they are, income, influence, or an opportunity are capped by invisible ceilings. These ceilings are structural, psychological, and systemic, and they exist in every organization. The first ceiling is financial. Salaries grow slowly and predictably, usually tied to market benchmarks, company budgets, and standardized pay scales. A promotion may increase pay by a few percentage points, but the total remains finite. Even high-performing employees eventually reach the top of their pay grade. Beyond that, additional effort does not translate into proportional income. The system is designed to reward competence, not to unlock individual potential. Linear compensation is inherently limiting. The second ceiling is hierarchical. Organizational structures impose boundaries on influence and decision-making. Regardless of skill or expertise, employees can only ascend within the hierarchy to a certain level. Senior roles may be few, competitive, or contingent on factors outside individual control. This limitation means that long-term career growth is constrained by both organizational design and external market conditions, not just personal performance. Time-based ceilings are equally insidious. Most jobs trade hours for money. Even employees with high salaries face the same 24-hour day. Effort is directly tied to output within rigid schedules, leaving little room for scalable growth. Extra hours may increase short-term income, but do not overcome systemic limits. Unlike businesses, or investments, or intellectual property, which can multiply value independently of time, salaried work stops scaling once time limits are reached. Psychology compounds these ceilings. Employees often internalize organizational limitations, associating their potential with the boundaries set by their employer. Confidence, ambition, and creativity are subtly confined by performance metrics, peer comparisons, and cultural norms. People stop pushing for innovation, risk-taking, or independent projects because these efforts are undervalued or unsupported in the system. Over time, mindset and opportunity become intertwined. The individual sees ceilings not only as a structural, but as personal limitations. Social reinforcement strengthens these ceilings. Societal norms and peer comparisons reinforce the notion that a stable employment is the measure of a success. Promotions, job titles, and salary figures become status symbols, thus making alternative paths seem risky or unconventional. The resulting conformity perpetuates the cycle. Employees focus on incremental gains within the system rather than seeking scalable opportunities outside it. Dependence on approval and recognition becomes a silent enforcer of limitation. Opportunity cost is another ceiling often overlooked. Every hour dedicated to salary-based work is an hour unavailable for building alternative income streams. Side projects, investments, but learning new skills and entrepreneurial efforts are delayed or deprioritized. While the salary provides security, it simultaneously consumes the most valuable resource, time. Those who fail to recognize this cost remain confined within the invisible boundaries of employment. Even high-performing employees encounter ceiling effects in compensation, influence, and freedom. Organizational resources, hierarchical bottlenecks, and corporate politics dictate outcomes beyond individual effort. No matter the skill level or dedication, external constraints cap the potential return. For those who equate effort with reward, this can be demoralizing, highlighting the difference between activity and true financial growth. Breaking free from invisible ceilings requires deliberate strategy. Awareness of structural limitations allows employees to plan outside the constraints. Diversifying income sources, investing, building systems, and leveraging the skills create pathways that scale beyond salary. Recognizing that ceilings are imposed by organizations, not personal capability, is the first step toward liberation. In conclusion, employment provides a structure, experience, and security, but it imposes multiple invisible ceilings: financial, hierarchical, time-based, psychological, and social. Understanding these boundaries clarifies why a salary alone cannot produce true freedom or wealth. The individual who identifies and navigates these ceilings can begin building systems and assets that scale independently, transforming employment from a limiting framework into a foundation for strategic growth. Chapter 3: The True Cost of Trading Time for Money. Every hour you spend working for a salary is an hour you will never reclaim. This is the fundamental exchange upon which traditional employment is built: time for money. At first glance, this trade seems fair. Hours worked translate into a predictable income, but the true cost is rarely acknowledged. By measuring compensation only in terms of dollars earned, individuals overlook the most valuable resource they possess: time. The first layer of cost is opportunity. Every moment dedicated to a job is time not spent building scalable assets, pursuing entrepreneurial ventures, or learning skills that can generate independent income. While your paycheck grows incrementally, the potential for exponential wealth growth outside the salary system is delayed or missed entirely. Opportunity cost is invisible yet profound. The longer the reliance on linear income, the more future wealth potential slips away. Another dimension is lifestyle compression. Employees often structure their life around work schedules. Personal projects, fitness, travel, and hobbies are adjusted to accommodate job demands. This leads to a subtle but persistent erosion of freedom. While a salary provides security, it also imposes constraints on when, where, and how you can use your time. The cost is not just monetary, it is the lost potential for personal fulfillment and independence. Time for money exchanges also limit financial scalability. A salary has an upper bound. Working longer hours increases immediate income, but it cannot exceed a certain structural limits. Raises, bonuses, and promotions are finite and often slow to materialize. In contrast, assets, investments, and businesses can grow independently of hours worked. Trading time for money locks growth into a linear trajectory, preventing accumulation of wealth that scales beyond the constraints of work. Psychological costs further amplify the trade-off. Dependence on a paycheck shapes behavior, mindset, and decisions. People often avoid calculated risks, defer skill development, and neglect long-term planning because the immediate security of salary feels safer. Fear of instability reinforces dependence, and mental energy becomes consumed with managing life within the bounds of linear income. In effect, the salary system subtly controls not only your finances, but also your mindset. Financial stress is another hidden cost. While a paycheck provides predictability, it also establishes expectations and obligations. Rent, bills, lifestyle choices, and social pressures create a cycle of reliance. If the paycheck stops, so does stability. This dependency reduces resilience and limits strategic freedom. The longer one relies solely on salary, the higher the psychological and financial cost of any disruption becomes. Moreover, trading time for money discourages scalable thinking. When compensation is tied directly to effort, focus naturally shifts to immediate tasks, deadlines, and performance metrics. Long-term strategies, passive income development, and skill building outside the job are deprioritized. This behavior reinforces linearity. Progress is measured by hours worked and tasks completed, not by the creation of independent systems capable of generating ongoing value. The cumulative effect of this trade is evident over decades. Even high salaries cannot compensate for the hours spent without building scalable alternatives. Life is finite, and every year spent working primarily for money is a year spent constrained by organizational limits. Many professionals reach retirement with experience and recognition, but without the freedom or wealth they envision, illustrating the cost of prioritizing salary over scalable growth. Breaking free from this cycle begins with awareness, recognizing that time is finite and that linear income cannot fully compensate for its loss, reframes the approach to work. The goal shifts from maximizing immediate paychecks to strategically using time and income to build leverage, skills, and assets that produce independent returns. Awareness converts passive labor into deliberate opportunity. Practical strategies to reduce this cost include investing consistently, developing skill-based assets, exploring side ventures, and optimizing time allocation. Each hour spent deliberately outside linear work compounds, gradually creating systems that generate income independent of a salary. Over time, these systems reduce reliance on the paycheck, transforming time from a liability into an asset. In conclusion, trading time for money comes with hidden costs, lost opportunities, constrained lifestyle, limited financial growth, psychological dependence, and cumulative long-term impact. Salary provides security but imposes invisible limits on freedom, wealth, and personal potential. Recognizing the true cost of this exchange is the first step toward reclaiming time, building scalable systems, and creating independence beyond the constraints of linear income. Chapter 4: The Illusion of Job's Security. From the earliest days of employment, the concept of job security is presented as a foundation for financial stability. A contract, a steady paycheck, benefits, and tenure are portrayed as safeguards against uncertainty. For many, the promise of security is a psychological anchor, creating comfort and trust in the system. Yet this security is largely an illusion. While it provides short-term predictability, it cannot protect against the structural and market forces that govern modern work. The first factor undermining job security is organizational impermanence. Companies evolve, restructure, and adapt to shifting market conditions. Entire departments can be downsized, replaced, or automated without warning. Layoffs, mergers, and reorganizations demonstrate that no amount of experience or loyalty can fully insulate employees from change. The stability is conditional, dictated by the organization's priorities rather than individual effort or competence. The very systems designed to reward tenure can become the source of vulnerability. Technological disruption adds another layer of fragility. Automation, artificial intelligence, and digital transformation are rapidly reshaping industries. Jobs that once seemed secure are now at risk of being replaced by machines or streamlined processes. Skills that were valuable yesterday may no longer be relevant tomorrow. While employees often trust that longevity guarantees protection, technological evolution ensures that even long-serving individuals must continually adapt or face obsolescence. Economic fluctuations also challenge perceived job security. Recessions, market contractions, and global crises impact companies unpredictably. Paychecks, benefits, and employment continuity are all vulnerable to these external forces. Employees who rely entirely on salary assume a stability, but economic volatility exposes the fragility inherent in dependence on a single source of income. Security tied to external conditions is conditional at best, and many discover this truth only after disruption occurs. Psychology reinforces the illusion. Employees equate consistent pay with safety, ignoring the structural limitations that define the role. The longer individuals remain in employment, the more their confidence becomes tied to organizational continuity rather than independent capability. Dependence on an employer creates mental comfort even when objective risk factors suggest otherwise. The mind interprets routine as protection, masking vulnerability until circumstances force a reckoning. Even benefits and contractual protections contribute only marginally to real security. Health insurance, retirement plans, and other perks reduce immediate risk but do not replace the capacity to generate independent income. They provide safety nets, not freedom. Employees may feel secure because these protections exist, but they remain constrained within a system that limits earning potential, mobility, and personal leverage. True security requires systems that operate independently of organizational decisions. Job security also encourages inertia. Employees may hesitate to explore alternative income streams, but pursue education or develop entrepreneurial initiatives because reliance on a stable paycheck feels safe. This creates a paradox. The very system that appears protective discourages actions that would build real resilience. Over time, comfort with predictability becomes a cage, keeping individuals tethered to structures that limit growth and flexibility. Breaking free from the illusion begins with recognition. Awareness of the conditional nature of security allows a strategic planning. Diversification through investments, businesses, and skill-based assets creates buffers against disruption. These measures ensure that income, influence, and opportunity do not rely solely on employment. True protection comes from autonomy, not tenure. Finally, achieving a security beyond the salary requires proactive risk management, understanding industry trends, adapting to technological change, and maintaining financial flexibility allow individuals to respond to uncertainty rather than be constrained by it. Independence is built by converting skills, time, and capital into scalable systems that operate outside the paycheck structure. Unlike conventional job security, this approach is resilient, dynamic, and controlled by the individual rather than external forces. In summary, job security is an illusion maintained by routine, predictability, and social norms. It feels protective, but is fundamentally conditional on factors beyond the employee's control: organizational change, technological disruption, and economic volatility. True security is strategic, built through independent assets, scalable systems, and adaptive skill sets. Recognizing the illusion is the first step toward freedom and resilience beyond salary dependence. But Chapter 5: Why Promotions and Raises Won't Make You Wealthy. Many employees place their hopes for financial freedom in promotions and raises. The narrative is simple: work hard, earn recognition, climb the ladder, and your income will eventually provide the wealth and security you desire. On the surface, this approach seems logical. Yet in practice, promotions and raises rarely deliver true wealth. They increase income linearly while leaving employees trapped in the same fundamental system of time for money exchange. The first limitation is scale. A promotion may increase a salary by 5 to 15%, and even a generous raise will not multiply wealth exponentially. Linear increases are useful for maintaining lifestyle or managing inflation, but they cannot produce financial independence. A person earning $50,000 a year cannot expect a raise to $75,000 to create real freedom. True wealth scales far beyond incremental changes in pay. Promotions only shift the ceiling slightly, leaving most employees still constrained by hours and organizational limits. Inflation and lifestyle creep further erode the benefits of raises. As income rises, spending habits often adjust upward as well. A bigger paycheck can lead to a larger mortgage, a newer car, or more discretionary expenses. This is known as lifestyle inflation. While the salary number grows on paper, the actual financial freedom remains unchanged. Incremental raises are absorbed by increased expenditures, leaving little surplus for investments, asset building, or scalable income streams. Employees are rewarded with comfort, not true independence. The next constraint is time. Even with a promotion, work demands often increase. More responsibility, higher expectations and longer hours accompany higher pay. In effect, the employee exchanges more effort for slightly more compensation, but reinforcing the linearity of income. The system subtly ensures that greater responsibility does not equate to proportional financial freedom. Hard work is rewarded, but only with more work, not exponential growth. Another factor is dependency. Promotions and raises keep employees tied to organizational structures. Career advancement depends on performance evaluations, managerial approval, and organizational priorities. Success is contingent upon external judgment, but which means that financial gains are never entirely under individual control. No matter how high the salary rises, employees remain dependent on the system that defines their worth, creating a ceiling on independence. Psychology amplifies these limitations. Employees often equate promotions with achievement, prestige, and success. This reinforces the desire to climb the ladder, delaying exploration of alternative paths that could produce scalable wealth. But time and energy are directed toward satisfying organizational metrics rather than building independent income. Over time, the promise of raises becomes a distraction from a strategic wealth creation. Additionally, promotions rarely provide new skills that scale beyond employment. Higher positions may develop management or operational expertise, but these skills are often context-specific. They do not necessarily translate into assets, businesses, or investments that generate autonomous returns. Linear growth in position and salary does not automatically lead to exponential wealth growth. Without conscious planning, promotions extend comfort, not independence. The trap of promotions and raises is also cultural. Society glorifies upward mobility, making it difficult to question the system. Employees are conditioned to see financial growth within the salary framework as success, obscuring the limits of this approach. The pursuit of higher pay becomes a goal in itself, masking the strategic need to diversify income streams and build scalable assets outside the paycheck system. Breaking free requires a shift in focus, from chasing incremental income to creating scalable systems. Time and money from a job should be leveraged for investments, side businesses, and intellectual property. By doing so, employees transform linear compensation into platforms for autonomous growth. Promotions become tools for leverage, not the primary path to wealth. In conclusion, that promotions and raises provide recognition and marginal financial improvement but do not generate true wealth. Their linear nature, combined with lifestyle inflation, time constraints, and dependency, ensures that financial independence remains elusive. The individual who understands this distinction uses salary as a foundation while strategically building assets, scalable systems, and independent income streams. Real wealth emerges not from moving up the ladder, but from creating leverage beyond it. Chapter 6. How to escape the salary trap. Escaping the salary trap begins with awareness, understanding that traditional employment is inherently limiting and that reliance on linear income prevents true financial freedom. Many employees never question the system. They work hard, earn promotions, and maintain the stability, believing that this path leads to independence. The first step toward liberation is realizing that financial freedom is not found within the paycheck. It must be built outside it. The foundation of escape is mindset. Employees must shift from a dependency mindset to one of leverage and scalability. Dependence on a paycheck creates comfort but limits potential. By viewing income as a tool rather than an endpoint, individuals begin to reallocate effort toward systems, assets, and opportunities that generate autonomous growth. But this mental shift transforms time, skills, and capital into resources that work for you, not just for your employer. The second step is a strategic time allocation. Every hour you spend working for a salary is a resource consumed. To escape the trap, time outside employment must be dedicated to high-leverage activities, skill building, investments, entrepreneurial projects, and knowledge acquisition. Consistency in these efforts compounds results over years, this gradually creating systems that produce income independent of your 9-to-5 responsibilities. Time becomes an asset rather than a liability. Developing multiple streams of income is essential. Relying on one paycheck is inherently risky and constrains growth. Alternative income streams may include investments in stocks, bonds, real estate, or digital assets. Entrepreneurship offers scalable opportunities, allowing effort to multiply returns beyond hours worked. Even small side projects, when pursued consistently, can grow into systems that eventually surpass the limitations of linear income. Diversification reduces dependency and builds resilience. Leveraging existing skills is another powerful strategy. Expertise developed in your job can be transformed into teachable content, consulting services, or digital products. Intellectual property, whether a course, ebook, or software, generates recurring income without additional labor once established. Turning knowledge into scalable assets allows employees to escape the paycheck ceiling while maintaining professional stability. Financial discipline is critical in this process. Escaping the salary trap requires redirecting a portion of income toward investments and assets rather than solely funding consumption. Without disciplined allocation, additional income from salary or side ventures is absorbed by lifestyle inflation. But strategic financial management ensures that resources are effectively deployed to build independent wealth over time. Networking and mentorship play a pivotal role. Connections with experienced entrepreneurs, investors, and professionals provide insight, guidance, and opportunities that accelerate growth. Mentors can identify risks, suggest scalable approaches, and offer shortcuts based on experience. But a strong network also opens doors that are inaccessible to employees confined within organizational structures. Relationships become a multiplier for effort, knowledge, and opportunity. Escaping the salary trap also involves embracing calculated risk. Linear income feels safe, but it is inherently constrained. Building independent systems, investing, and pursuing entrepreneurial opportunities carry uncertainty. However, these calculated risks are the vehicles of growth. The risk management, starting small, testing, and scaling, ensures safety while expanding potential. Those who avoid risk remain trapped. Those who embrace it strategically begin to build freedom. Psychological resilience is essential. The process of escaping the salary trap requires patience, persistence, and the ability to delay gratification. Results do not appear overnight. Progress is measured in years, not months. Overcoming fear of instability and prioritizing long-term wealth creation over immediate comfort differentiates those who achieve financial independence from those who remain bound by salary. Finally, monitoring and adjusting strategies ensures sustained progress. Systems, investments, and entrepreneurial ventures must be regularly evaluated and optimized. This iterative approach prevents stagnation, adapts to changing markets, and maximizes returns. The salary becomes a foundation, but not a limitation, while independent streams of income steadily grow and compound. In conclusion, escaping the salary trap is a deliberate process requiring awareness, mindset shifts, time management, multiple income streams, financial discipline, leveraged skills, networking, risk-taking, and resilience. The paycheck is not an enemy, it is a tool to be used strategically. By applying these principles consistently, individuals transform from linear earners into architects of their financial destiny, achieving independence, scalability, and freedom beyond the confines of traditional employment. Chapter 7: Building Scalable Systems for Freedom. Escaping the salary trap is not merely about working harder or saving more. It is about designing systems that generate income independently of your time. But scalability is the defining principle that separates employees who remain constrained by paychecks from those who achieve financial freedom. A scalable system multiplies the effect of effort, allowing output to grow without requiring a proportional increase in hours worked. The first step in building scalable systems is identifying repeatable value. Every successful system is based on a process that can consistently produce results. For example, a business that automates product delivery, a digital platform that provides recurring services, or an investment portfolio that compounds returns, each represents a structure where inputs lead predictably to outputs. Recognizing which aspects of your work or skills can be converted into repeatable processes is crucial for leverage. Automation amplifies scalability. Systems that operate with minimal human intervention free time for strategic growth. Software, online platforms, and standardized workflows allow tasks that once required constant attention to continue generating results independently. Automation does not replace a strategy. It executes a strategy efficiently, converting effort into ongoing value without demanding continuous labor. The more effective the automation, the more scalable the system. Leverage is another essential component. Resources, financial capital, expertise, networks, and technology must be deployed to multiply results. Though capital invested in assets that grow over time, skills leveraged to create teaching platforms, or networks utilized to expand reach all exemplify leverage. Leverage allows a small input to produce disproportionately large outputs, breaking the linear constraints of salary and creating pathways to independence. Diversification ensures resilience. Systems that generate income independently of your time are not immune to risk. Market shifts, competition, and economic fluctuations can impact results. By building multiple streams, such as online businesses, investments, and intellectual property, you reduce reliance on any single source. Diversification protects growth while enhancing long-term stability, creating a structure where income is not tied to a single employer or sector. Iterative improvement enhances efficiency. Scalable systems are dynamic. They evolve with experience, feedback, and market conditions. Monitoring performance, identifying bottlenecks, and refining processes ensures that growth is sustainable. Incremental optimization may seem small day-to-day, but over months and years, the cumulative effect is significant. Systems that adapt are more resilient, efficient, and capable of producing consistent value. Time management remains central to building systems. Even the scalable structures require initial setup, monitoring, and a strategic adjustment. Allocating time wisely during these stages ensures that systems reach full operational potential. The goal is not endless effort, but deliberate, high-leverage actions that establish structures capable of independent performance. Effective time investment early pays exponential dividends later. Skill transformation is a key enabler. Core expertise, whether technical, creative, or strategic, must be converted into assets that scale. Teaching, licensing, digital products, and consulting are examples of ways to leverage skills for repeated returns. By transforming personal knowledge into systems that operate independently, employees begin generating income that is decoupled from active labor, expanding both financial and temporal freedom. Psychological alignment is critical. Building scalable systems requires patience, resilience, and long-term vision. Short-term setbacks, failures, or delays are inevitable. Maintaining focus on the structural advantages of scalability allows the individual to persevere while continuously refining processes. A mindset oriented toward growth, iteration, and leverage amplifies results and sustains progress. Finally, freedom emerges when systems surpass dependency. Once scalable systems generate consistent income, the reliance on a salary diminishes. Time is reclaimed, financial growth accelerates, when the strategic decisions are guided by opportunity rather than necessity. Employment, if maintained, becomes a tool rather than a constraint. True freedom arises not from escaping work entirely, but from designing structures where work serves long-term leverage, not immediate survival. In summary, scalable systems are the cornerstone of financial independence. By identifying repeatable value, leveraging resources, automating processes, diversifying streams, iterating improvements, was transforming skills, and aligning psychologically, individuals convert time and effort into compounding returns. The salary trap loses its grip as systems grow, creating freedom, resilience, and a path to financial autonomy beyond the limits of traditional employment. Chapter 8: Leveraging Skills, Capital, and Knowledge. Financial freedom is rarely a product of luck. It is the outcome of deliberate application of skills, capital, and knowledge. While a salary provides predictable income, it does not inherently grow wealth beyond linear constraints. To break free from the salary trap, these three pillars, skills, capital, and knowledge, must be strategically leveraged to create independent, scalable value. Skills are the most immediate form of leverage. Every professional possesses abilities acquired through education, experience, or personal development. While these skills are often applied exclusively within the confines of a job, they can be transformed into assets that generate income beyond active employment. For instance, a designer can create digital products, a programmer can build software tools, and a consultant can offer advisory services to multiple clients. When applied strategically, skills become engines of scalable income rather than mere instruments of a paycheck. Capital, both financial and social, multiplies impact. Financial capital allows investments in systems, businesses, or assets that compound returns over time. Social capital, networks, professional connections, and relationships opens doors to opportunities unavailable through isolated effort. The combination of these resources enables the creation of ventures and platforms where small inputs produce substantial outputs. Properly deployed, capital acts as a force multiplier, turning effort into exponential results. Knowledge serves as the blueprint for leverage. Understanding markets, industries, and human behavior allows individuals to identify gaps, inefficiencies, and scalable opportunities. Knowledge also reduces risk. The more you understand how systems work, the better you can allocate time, money, and effort for maximum return. Continuous learning through books, courses, mentors, and experience ensures that leverage remains effective and adaptable to changing circumstances. Integration of skills, capital, and knowledge produces compounding effects. For example, a professional who applies expertise to create a product, skill, invests in marketing or infrastructure, capital, and understands market dynamics, knowledge, builds a system capable of generating recurring returns. Each element reinforces the others, creating a structure that grows independently of active labor. Linear income from a salary cannot match this compounding potential. The strategic allocation of time is central to this process. While employment consumes the majority of working hours, deliberate use of free time for leveraging skills and capital accelerates progress. Early investment of effort into scalable initiatives compounds over years, producing returns that eventually surpass the limitations of a paycheck. Consistency and focus are more important than intensity. Small, well-directed actions accumulate into substantial growth. Psychology plays a pivotal role, and many professionals underestimate the potential of their own skills or the value of knowledge outside their job. Fear of failure, uncertainty, or deviation from conventional paths keeps talent confined within linear structures. Overcoming this mindset requires reframing work as a vehicle for asset creation rather than solely a source of immediate income. Confidence, calculated risk-taking, and long-term vision are essential for effective leverage. Diversification enhances resilience. Relying on a single skill, investment, or knowledge base exposes individuals to risk. By expanding capabilities, building multiple income streams, and continually acquiring information, one can protect against disruption while maximizing growth. Diversification allows one to pivot when opportunities or challenges arise, reducing dependence on any single source of income or expertise. Mentorship and collaboration further amplify leverage. Learning from those who have successfully applied skills, the capital, and knowledge accelerates progress and avoids common mistakes. Collaboration multiplies impact. Joint ventures, partnerships, and networks expand reach and scale. Those who isolate themselves often miss opportunities to apply leverage effectively. Those who connect strategically create exponential potential. Finally, the ultimate objective of leveraging skills, capital, and knowledge is freedom. Independence is achieved not by abandoning work entirely, but by creating systems that operate beyond the limits of linear labor. Time is reclaimed, income grows exponentially, and choices are guided by opportunity rather than necessity. The combination of skill, capital, and knowledge transforms the individual from a passive employee into an architect of a scalable, autonomous wealth. In summary, the power to escape the salary trap lies in strategically applying your skills, deploying capital wisely, and using knowledge to inform decisions. When integrated, these three pillars enable the creation of the scalable systems, compounding returns, and autonomous income streams. The individual who masters this approach moves from dependence on a paycheck to control over financial destiny, unlocking freedom, resilience, and long-term growth. Chapter 9: The Mindset of Independence. Escaping the salary trap is not purely a matter of the strategy or skill. It begins in the mind. The mindset of independence separates those who remain confined by paychecks from those who create scalable wealth and lasting freedom. While income, capital, and systems are critical, without the proper psychological framework, even the best strategies can falter. The first component of this mindset is long-term thinking. Employees often focus on immediate paychecks, promotions, or quarterly evaluations. While these are important for short-term stability, they create a tunnel vision that obscures opportunities for scalable growth. Independent thinkers prioritize actions that build future autonomy over short-term comfort. They invest time and resources into systems, assets, and knowledge that compound, understanding that true freedom requires patience, persistence, and delayed gratification. Self-reliance is another cornerstone. Independence is cultivated by taking responsibility for income, growth, and decision-making. Individuals must acknowledge that organizations, promotions, or salary increases are conditional and outside their complete control. By focusing on what can be influenced, the development of skills, the deployment of capital, and the creation of scalable systems, one builds resilience and reduces reliance on external structures. Self-reliance is both mindset and action, confidence in capability and commitment to execution. Calculated risk-taking is integral to this mindset. But linear employment feels safe because outcomes are predictable, but safety comes at the cost of growth. Individuals committed to independence embrace strategic risks, investments, entrepreneurship, and innovative projects. The risks are calculated, informed by knowledge, and designed to expand leverage rather than jeopardize stability. This mindset reframes uncertainty as opportunity, not threat. Adaptability is also essential. Markets, technologies, and industries evolve rapidly, and rigid dependence on a salary becomes dangerous. Independent thinkers continuously acquire new knowledge, refine skills, and adjust strategies. Flexibility allows individuals to respond to disruption, pivot when necessary, and seize opportunities that others may overlook. Stagnation is the enemy of freedom. Adaptability sustains autonomy. Discipline reinforces the mindset. Independence requires consistent, deliberate action. Scalable systems, investments, and skill building demand ongoing attention, monitoring, and refinement. Without discipline, initial progress erodes, and dependence on a salary resumes. Discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. It converts ideas into structures that produce sustainable returns. Perspective is equally important. Understanding the limitations of salary and employment frames decisions strategically. Those with an independent mindset evaluate opportunities based on potential leverage and scalability, not immediate rewards or social approval. This perspective minimizes distraction from conventional measures of success, such as titles or income comparisons, allowing focus on what truly builds freedom. Resilience underpins all of these traits. Independence is not linear, and setbacks are inevitable. Projects fail, investments fluctuate, and progress may stall. The mindset of independence frames these challenges as learning opportunities rather than reasons to revert to dependence. Persistence, reflection, and adaptation ensure that temporary obstacles do not derail long-term objectives. Networking and mentorship also shape the mindset. Learning from individuals who have successfully escaped the linear paycheck system provides insight, perspective, and guidance. Exposure to alternative approaches, scalable thinking, and proven strategies reinforces belief in the possibility of independence and accelerates execution. But surrounding oneself with forward-thinking individuals strengthens both mindset and opportunity. Finally, the mindset of independence aligns purpose with a strategy. It transforms the way work, time, and money are perceived. Employment becomes a tool for leverage, not a cage. Skills become assets, not instruments of linear labor. Capital becomes a multiplier, not a static resource. The individual's choices are guided by autonomy, not necessity, and each decision is measured by its capacity to generate scalable, independent results. In a summary, escaping the salary trap requires more than the strategy. It requires a mindset of independence, long-term thinking, self-reliance, calculated risk-taking, adaptability, discipline, perspective, resilience, and a strategic networking together create the psychological framework necessary for freedom. The individual who cultivates this mindset converts employment, time, and resources into tools for scalable wealth and autonomous living, ensuring that dependence on a paycheck becomes optional rather than essential. Chapter 10: Designing a Life Beyond the Salary. Escaping the salary trap is only the beginning. True freedom comes from designing a life that is not constrained by linear income, organizational hierarchies, or time for money exchanges. This final stage combines all the lessons of awareness, strategy, skill leverage, scalable systems, and mindset into a deliberate approach to living. Designing a life beyond the salary means creating structures, habits, and opportunities that allow independence, flexibility, and long-term growth. The first principle is clarity of purpose. Financial freedom is not the ultimate goal. It is a tool to achieve personal vision. Individuals must define what freedom means to them. Time with family, creative pursuits, travel, learning, or entrepreneurship. Clarity allows resources, time, money, and effort to be allocated effectively. Without a clear vision, even scalable systems and multiple income streams risk being misaligned with personal objectives. A purpose-driven approach ensures that every decision advances independence and fulfillment. Next is integration of income streams. A life beyond salary relies on diversification. Income is no longer dependent on a single employer or linear paycheck. Investments, business ventures, intellectual property, and side projects collectively create resilience and freedom. Each stream reduces reliance on any one source, providing security while allowing the individual to prioritize time and energy strategically. Integration ensures that work becomes optional, not mandatory, for maintaining lifestyle or pursuing goals. Time autonomy is critical. Designing a life beyond salary requires reclaiming control over when and how time is spent. Employment, if maintained, is leveraged rather than dictated by. Side ventures, scalable systems, and investments generate independent cash flow. Scheduling life according to opportunity and purpose rather than necessity creates flexibility, reduces stress, and enhances overall quality of life. Time becomes a strategic resource instead of a constraint. Scalable systems underpin this lifestyle. Systems built in earlier chapters, automated businesses, investments, digital platforms, or intellectual property continue generating value without constant supervision. These structures allow for growth without proportional effort. The individual transitions from active labor to strategic oversight, focusing on optimization, expansion, and adaptation rather than survival. Scalability enables a life designed around choice, not obligation. Continuous learning and adaptation remain essential. Markets, technology, and industries evolve, and so must strategies. Remaining passive risks, regression, and dependence. Those designing a life beyond salary prioritize skill development, knowledge acquisition, and strategic experimentation. Continuous adaptation ensures that freedom is sustainable and that systems remain efficient, relevant, and capable of generating consistent returns over time. Financial discipline sustains independence. Even with multiple income streams, mismanagement can erode freedom. Budgeting, strategic reinvestment, and risk management allow wealth to compound while minimizing vulnerability. Discipline ensures that resources, whether money, time, or knowledge, are utilized to maximize leverage, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of growth and autonomy. The social environment also influences freedom. Surrounding oneself with like-minded, forward-thinking individuals reinforces mindset, provides opportunities, and accelerates growth. Collaboration, mentorship, and networking expand reach and amplify results. Designing a life beyond salary is not a solitary endeavor. Connections and relationships become part of the system that supports independence. Finally, balance and intentionality are critical. Freedom without direction or purpose can lead to aimlessness. A life beyond salary integrates work, personal development, relationships, and leisure according to deliberate priorities. Each day is structured to advance both autonomy and fulfillment, ensuring that independence is sustainable, meaningful, and aligned with personal vision. In conclusion, designing a life beyond the salary is the culmination of awareness, strategic thinking, scalable systems, skill leverage, mindset, and discipline. It transforms financial independence from a theoretical concept into a practical reality. By integrating purpose, autonomy, scalable income streams, continuous learning, and intentional living, individuals move beyond the constraints of linear employment. Work becomes a tool, not a necessity. Income becomes leverage, not limitation. And life becomes a deliberate construct aligned with freedom, growth, and fulfillment. This is the ultimate escape from the salary trap, a life shaped not by circumstance, but by conscious design.